But not everyone is happy with this system. Some parents have been struggling with online applications. The system is now being mooted for other provinces from as early as next year. Well, Galen Bowles is from Teacher Union Naptosa and joins us now. Good evening, Galen. Thank you very much for your time. Are you surprised that there are still as many parents struggling with these online applications?
Good evening, and yes, we are in the phase now where parents are, the application system is where parents now are able to take up offers of placement for their children. Now, Gauteng is a province under huge pressure, and certain schools are also under huge pressure with applications up to 2,000 children for maybe 300 spaces. So yes, the system is under pressure. From a technical side, the system is working well. From particularly within schools, our NAPTOSA members have said you can log in and see. I think where the parents are struggling is that they're not realizing that they're in a virtual queue. They applied, hopefully they've brought their paperwork to the school, and now they've joined the queue with regards to the applications. Some of our schools have faced such pressure that within 20 minutes, they've actually reached capacity. So parents who even applied on the first day are waiting for their place.
So you agree with what the MEC Panyaza Lesofi said yesterday, that everybody must just be patient?
I fully agree with that. We have to be patient. We've got children and parents who are given the opportunity to apply to 4 or 5 schools. So some children could be double parked. And once parents, and this is a plea to say, parents, try and go online. If not, go to the district office or go to the school and see if you can get some assistance in finding out what is the status of your child's application. Because as soon as parents can start accepting, of course, then the system can move on. And as a teacher union, we understand the anxiety of parents. Every parent wants to see their child placed for next year. So they need finality in this. There's nothing worse than waiting.
A lot of people may find it, like perhaps, maybe find it difficult to believe politicians. Yes. And here you are a teacher, you're also, a stakeholder in all of this. Are you saying to the parents, stay where you are, don't worry, an answer may not come today or tomorrow, but it will eventually come and your child won't be prejudiced? Is that an assurance you can give independent of the Department of Education?
I'm saying to parents, yes. They do need to go and check out the status of their application.
So they must keep checking?
They need to keep checking.
They mustn't just fold their arms and hope for the best.
If it's saying pending, that means that child hasn't been placed yet, because maybe the school's at capacity or there's another reason. And the system, we've been informed, will release, again, the next step, moving down the virtual waiting lists. Parents mustn't be complacent. Parents need to be proactive. Parents need to keep checking. And parents need to make a decision. If they've been offered placement at 2 or 3 schools, they can't sit back and say, when? They need to make that decision so that another child has the opportunity of being placed at schools.
But how is the response when parents make those inquiries? Do they get responses immediately?
I think that would depend on the person.
Well, isn't that what perhaps, adds to the anxiety?
It does.
Because if you inquire and you're not getting a response, then you become even more frustrated and anxious.
And I see that with many parents. And that's where it depends on the professionalism of the person that you're speaking to.
Well, given then the challenges that you two readily admit to, which is that, because it's that time, it's the season, right? So the system is working overtime. And then on the other hand, you have these parents' anxieties and all that. Now, given what we're hearing, that, the Department of Education is ready to roll this out, is it advisable to do that? Shouldn't we use Gauteng as this, test
I think
in case, and wait for the Gauteng system to be vastly improved, and only then even think of rolling it out to other provinces?
The Gauteng system is in its third year. So that's a positive, and it's been interesting to watch the progress of the system. However, there's always a human element, and that's where we need to target. And that would be my advice when they're looking at rolling it out perhaps to other provinces. Your pre-education has to be there. Parents need to be informed. Preschool children, especially applying for grade 1, they're at different centers, they're all over. So you need to home in on those parents, educate them.
Are you saying that's not happening at the moment?
I think it could be improved. I think it could be strengthened. Whereas your child that's already in the system, a grade 7 child applying to go to grade 8, that child is already in a school system. It's easier to communicate with those parents.
But then, would you want to go and frustrate even more people, given your experiences, given the experiences in Gauteng? This is what I'm battling with. If you have this one province where this system is not working as best as it could, you now want to extend it to 8 other provinces. You're going to have more people frustrated. And before we know it, everybody's going to say the education system in this country is collapsing. And meanwhile, they're just talking about an application system. Add to that the fact that in provinces like, the Eastern Cape, for example, internet penetration is, and you have, far-flung places, rural areas where it's almost like zilch.
And I do recognize there'll be challenges there. Even in Gauteng, there are challenges in areas that are outside of the city. Those challenges are there. NAPTOSA members have told us that connectivity goes down. Parents then can't log on. Parents are asked to go to centers to assist them. Not everybody is technologically advanced and using online. However, I do feel as it progresses, so perhaps, yes, maybe we're not quite ready to roll out all over, but use the Gauteng experience to start building, look at what has been the challenges within Gauteng, look what has been the successes. And one of the big successes has been that more and more children have the opportunity to apply to more and more schools.
I know this may be perhaps a simplistic way of looking at it. But as a teacher who has stood in front of a class where some are slow to learn, others are fast, and there's a lot that you have to cover, what would you do if this was a classroom situation, given that you want those who have been able to catch on to actually progress, but you still want to introduce those who are not yet in a part of the system?
Then it would go to outreach, go into communities, and actually try and broaden getting more people involved in educating and volunteering to assist. That would be a wonderful way of, you don't leave anybody behind. It's to look at the situation, analyze it, and say, how can we make this better? And I can certainly say that over the 3 years, things have got better, but also people need to understand the virtualness of it. That virtual queue, when I apply as a parent, I don't realize I'm given a waiting list number. I don't realize that there could be 1,500 people ahead of me. I don't realize those pressures. And those are things that need to be acknowledged. And let's try reach out there and help our parents, because at the end of the day, as a teachers' union, we want to see every child in school. We want to see quality education. And in fact, if we could have quality education all around, we wouldn't have the rushing to the high-pressure schools. We need to start as communities starting to own public education. Let's put education at the top of our agendas. Let's make public education great.
And given the world we live in, we need to embrace technology, because that is the future. But there is that reality that we haven't been able to do the basics. We haven't been able to give our children toilets. We haven't been able to give them books. A lot of them still learn under trees. And given the challenges you're going to have when you have to deal with rural schools, for example, should we even begin, and I'm taking you to the where we started, should we even begin to talk about rolling this out to the rest of the country?
I wouldn't see it working within those circumstances yet. But it's also a good idea where it can work. Let's move our society forward. Let's climb on to the fourth industrial revolution, to where we need to be going. Because if we keep making excuses, are we ever going to start? And there is value in embracing and empowering people. And that's what we need to keep doing. We can't keep as South Africans sitting back and saying, it's not going to work. We've got to try it. We've got to evaluate it. We've got to look where we can do better. And when that is strengthened, we're moving South Africa forward. We're bringing our citizens in line with the new world and the new technologies.
Kaylin, thank you very much for coming through.
Thank you.
This evening. She is from Teacher Union Naptosa.